I won't forgive you. Suddenly, my next door mom's friend says this and goes off in a rage. I won't forgive you. Isn't that supposed to be my line? What are you talking about, coming out of my house? You're caught red-handed for trespassing, you know. My name is Emily. I'm 45, married to a husband who gets drunk and leaves things behind in bars and trains every day. Maybe I should just sew valuables into his clothes. Just kidding. But there are things in this world scarier than forgetfulness. A few months ago, I noticed that our electricity bill for our detached house was higher than usual. Even though electricity rates are up nationwide, it was more than I expected. Well, it's winter, and we have all electric appliances, so maybe we were using more than usual. So we started to save energy. However, the next month, and the month after that, the electricity bill was slightly higher. Both my husband and I work, and our daughter Catherine is in elementary school. The house is empty during the day. We've been taking thorough energy-saving measures now, diligently turning off unnecessary lights, but I can't think of any excessive use. I wondered if there was some unnoticed waste and asked on internet forums, but the cause remained unknown. At a gathering of mom friends, I asked, "Has your electricity bill also gone up a lot?" Everyone responded with things like, "Yes, ours too, and maybe the hairdryer time is affecting it," which was a bit of a relief. So, everyone is struggling with this, huh? However, there was one exception. Karen, who lives next door to her house. She scoffed. It's pathetic to make such a fuss over something like an electricity bill. Karen is always like this. She blatantly tries to one-up others. Among the many mom friends, there's one who seems to particularly see me as an enemy, always getting unnecessarily involved with me. Maybe she doesn't like that our houses are next to each other, or that I, younger than her, get along well with other moms of her age. She's the daughter of some company's president. Her husband took over her family's business and is now CEO. Karen always goes out of her way to say, "I've never had to worry about money." To us, though, the company's name is unheard of, and they don't seem particularly wealthy. She might be struggling with personal relationships more than money, I think, feeling not the slightest bit envious. This electric bill issue is one example. Whenever we talk about ordinary family finances, like how expensive the kids' school bags are, she invariably brags. That was nothing for us. We bought the best one. It's her usual way to assert dominance. Not showing annoyance is the terrifying part of mom-friend relations, even if you find her tiresome. Everyone's a parent, so no one wants to single out Karen, especially when we teach our children to get along with their friends. It would be embarrassing to act in a way we couldn't explain to our kids. But this adult response seems to have emboldened Karen. The rise in electricity costs is trivial, isn't it? It'd be pitiful to make the kids endure because of that, don't you think? I'm exasperated by Karen's laughing but reply casually. It's good for children to know about saving when they become independent, isn't it? You plan to make them save when living alone. Unbelievable. You should support your child if they're trying their best alone. Somehow? This turned into a lecture. Why should I have to send them money? While everyone was at a loss for words, Karen started bragging about something no one asked. We went to a French restaurant recently. She boasted about enjoying a full course with quality escargot. But it's just snails at a banquet. I don't find it enviable at all. Everyone seemed to think, what a hassle, giving only half-hearted responses to Karen's story. Little did I know, this casual conversation would have repercussions later. It happened when I bumped into a neighbor at the entrance. The neighbor mentioned they recently adopted a kitten, and we were having a pleasant chat about cats when Karen came out from next door, saying, "Oh, both of you together," and happily joined us. Karen is probably lonely, I think. Whenever she sees people talking, She can't help but join in and take over the conversation. I braced myself for the usual pattern of discomfort. But then, the neighbor didn't seem to want to talk to Karen. They stubbornly kept a conversation focused on how cute the cat was. I have a cat at my parents' house, so I can join in the conversation. But Karen doesn't have any pets. Maybe she has escargots in her garden during the rainy season, though. Unable to join in the conversation, Karen just stood there with a forced smile, not leaving. But she couldn't find a chance to interrupt because of her neighbor's solid defense. Impatient, Karen finally said, "Oh, by the way, did you know that Emily's house is really poor, and that too loudly?" Both the neighbor and I were dumbfounded. The poor Emily she's talking about is me. I couldn't help but respond with a confused haha. Emily goes around bragging about her misfortunes to her mom's friends because of the increased electricity bill. What if someone talks? It wouldn't be strange if Catherine is teased at school for being poor. When moms get together, we should talk about more fun things, right? But Emily, you always talk about money. It's so tactless. But I like you, Emily. You must be a bit naive, he? So cute. By the way, I went to a French restaurant the other day. Rather than just feeling irritated, a lingering anger started to grow in me. And I probably glared at Karen. Sensing her mood, the neighbor said, "Oh, I just remembered I left the laundry out and it's going to rain this evening. I better get back home," and hurriedly left. By the way, the forecast had been clear skies from Monday to Friday. Karen must have been frustrated that her snail talk didn't catch on and the neighbor even escaped. You could have been a bit more entertaining, like a clown, to keep the conversation going. I gave you a chance, and what do? The conversation is about tossing and spiking, you dimwit. She insulted me and disappeared into her house. Why do I have to set up perfect tosses for your stories? I wanted to shout, but by the time I regained my composure, the enemy was already inside her house. I went home, buried my face in a cushion, and screamed in a muffled voice, "This is ridiculous." I couldn't sleep that night due to my anger and ended up venting to my husband over drinks. Emily seemed stressed. Good thing I got this. What's this? A colleague of mine won this Ryokan stay in a raffle, but his family member got hospitalized, and it looks like they can't go. He asked if we wanted to use it. Really, a hot spring trip, it's been so long. I'm so happy. We haven't traveled since Catherine was born. Let's spread our wings for a change. Yeah, while feeling grateful for my husband's thoughtfulness and the unexpected trip voucher, I looked forward to the travel days. Even when I encountered Karen at the entrance from time to time, the anticipation of the trip made me feel a bit more tolerant than usual. Catherine was also excited about her first trip, and the whole family was preoccupied with travel plans. However, there was one concern. Despite our efforts to save, this month's electricity bill was even higher than before. It was an alarming spike. It felt unnerving. I thought of turning off the breaker while we were away on a trip and then contacting the power company later. Comparing it with the usual state might reveal something. With that in mind, I turned off the breaker and left for a 2-night, 3-day hot spring trip with my family. We relished the local seafood, took lots of photos of our child having fun, and enjoyed peaceful moments with my husband for the first time in a while. We returned from the trip completely satisfied. The moment I parked the car and was about to unlock the front door, it strangely opened from the inside. Startled, I instinctively shielded my child. "I won't forgive you. Where have you been?" Karen, for some reason, came out from inside our house. My husband and I were too shocked to comprehend the situation. "Were you house-sitting?" my daughter asked Karen. "My dear, an uninvited neighbor isn't house-sitting. Why are you in our house? I also asked Karen. You should have told me if you were going out. This wouldn't have happened if I had known. Karen snapped back angrily. No, we didn't give you permission to enter our house, and how did you even? I paused mid-sentence as I suddenly remembered something. Did you make a duplicate key with the one my daughter dropped recently? Karen's face suddenly showed realization as she became calm. It goes back to last year when my daughter lost our house key. We couldn't find it anywhere in the house, and I thought she might have dropped it on the way home. When we went to look, we found the key at our front door. At that time, we were relieved to find it within our property and didn't suspect anything unusual. That's right. You have a duplicate of our key, don't you, Karen? Pressed further by me, Karen started to tremble slightly. She uttered some gibberish that seemed like she was trying to say no, but her panic was a clear giveaway. Hand over the key. If you don't, I'll forcibly search you. I'm the daughter of a CEO. Do you know what will happen if you do that? Karen retorted defiantly. Well, it's not like your husband is the CEO. And being a CEO's daughter doesn't exempt you from the law. If you made a duplicate key and entered, it's you and your family's company that should be worried about what happens next. Faced with my blunt logic, Karen fell silent and had no comeback. Yet, she refused to hand over the key. With no other choice, I forcefully took her to the Japanese-style room and, as declared, performed a body search. A key, identical to ours, emerged from her pants pocket. I handed it to my husband to test it outside, and the key worked. It was undoubtedly a duplicate of our house key. Karen, why did you do this? How long have you been doing it? I just happened to see Catherine drop the key. It was a whim. I've never lived in a poor person's house, so I wanted to see what it was like. What? What an inconvenient curiosity. To make matters worse, Karen started saying, I thought observing the life of a poor commoner would help me liven up conversations with others. I had a hunch, but she's a bundle of need for approval. She constantly posts about her luxurious lifestyle on social media, and her habit of dominating conversations probably stems from her desire to be seen. The desire to be the center of attention is one thing, but to commit illegal trespassing? She's a frighteningly needy attention monster. Did you, by any chance, enter her house during the day too? After a brief silence, Karen seemed to resign herself to speaking the truth and answered, just a little bit. So, almost every day then? Your eyes have been darting around whenever you lie. Nah. Karen looked at me in panic, but it was too late. Her behavior conveyed, see, I'm looking right at you. That means I'm not lying. So, you're the reason our electricity bill went up. What were you doing in our house? I relaxed in the living room, used the bath. It sounded like she made herself at home, as if our house was a vacation retreat. No wonder the electricity bill went up despite our savings efforts. I see. Then you must have been quite inconvenienced this time, right? Yes, you turned off the breaker, right? How could you? I didn't know where it was, and even though I hadn't used it for days, the bill was higher than usual. I couldn't do anything because I was worried about being caught. As an aside, our breaker is inside the shoe cupboard. Most homes have it in the bathroom or kitchen, so it's no wonder she couldn't find it with normal expectations. Why are you acting so entitled? Don't lecture me after trespassing. Shall I call the police? Karen flinched at my words. The mention of police seemed to scare her. I was going to leave the moment I realized you were away. But, for some reason, the key wouldn't open. What? Confused, I headed to the entrance, trying to open the door that I had previously closed. To step outside, the door wouldn't open. The lock wouldn't turn. That's it. That's what it was. I couldn't help but burst into laughter. It seems that the door lock broke at this miraculous time. We bought this house secondhand, and recently the door lock had been acting up. So, I secretly used a krigogorek, something a locksmith would never recommend, as a temporary fix in the keyhole. Because of this, the door lock seemed to be reaching the end of its life. It sounds like it might turn if forced, but pushing too hard could break it beyond repair. Karen probably didn't dare touch it anymore for fear of breaking it. Well done, krigogorek, and the worn-out keyhole. I could open it from the outside earlier, but next time, that might not be possible. Ahahaha. Well, thanks to this poor person's shabby house. You had a valuable experience, didn't you, Karen? While I was laughing, my husband was fretting. How much will the lock repair cost? And frantically searching for affordable locksmiths on his phone. But the lock breaking at this time allowed us to discover Karen's intrusion. So the repair cost felt like a valuable lesson in a way. Now you can't escape. Shall we call the lock repair service and the police? As I smiled brightly, Karen begged, I'll give you money. Please just spare me that. Money? Gulp. No, just kidding. I'm not the type to be easily swayed by money dangled in front of me for lock repair. Having someone who would trespass in the neighborhood is genuinely scary. So no matter how much Karen bowed her head and cried, I don't want my family to find out, I unwaveringly called the police. Afterwards, as it was her first offense, Karen was granted a suspended prosecution. That much was expected. What was surprising was the reaction of Karen's husband, who was furious about the incident. Not that he stormed in or anything. Karen's husband agreed to pay for the electricity she used freely in our house and the lock repair cost. I initially said the repair cost wasn't necessary since I was partly to blame, but he insisted. Please accept it as compensation and a way for us to take responsibility. So I graciously accepted. Since Karen's husband had inherited her company as a son-in-law, it didn't lead to a simple okay divorce situation. This incident became known to the people in the town and our circle of mom friends, leading to the Karen family being looked at with disapproval in the community. Karen's child, who had a habit of stealing other kids' stationery at school, became known as a thief among the children. The Karen family, feeling ostracized, soon moved to a distant town. Even now, on internet forums, especially on threads about Karen's company, employees mockingly write, "Our boss's wife is a thief." It seems the incident has become a topic of gossip even within her company. The only thing stolen was electricity, but the story of her illegal entry somehow got exaggerated to thief, and she had a criminal record since her student days. It was just a small local incident, not worth a news article. That the internet can be frightening with its reach. Indeed, some posts on the forums seem to be true. Like she set off fireworks in someone else's house or she stole from a friend's house. It appears that Karen was a problematic person from her youth. To have one's past mistakes exposed as an adult, it's karma for not atoning properly and continually committing wrongs. I hope she fully redeems herself for the rest of her life. Meanwhile, our family is living our happiest days ever, with the lock fixed and our neighbors gone. Our electricity bill still hasn't decreased, so we continue to save. But as long as the three of us can live smiling, there's nothing better. It's still the same year, so there hasn't been any significant change. Like my husband got promoted, and our child went to a prestigious university. We're living a typical life with nothing much to boast about. Oh wait, there is something. My daughter won first place twice in dance recitals recently. Just that, you might ask, but you never know. She might become an idol in the future. I know it's just a parent's wishful thinking, but dreaming about your child's growth is the greatest happiness for a parent. My husband and I want to continue watching over her growth. That's what I'm thinking.